Matt Dillon from MD Effect, the founder of that special effect. So what is this all about, Matt?
The MD effect is something that I created through my own evolution, hence the little butterfly action today, that life is about that evolution. So I think most people knew me in New York City when I moved here from Australia as publicist, celebrity, lifestyle, what have you. And as I evolved throughout the pandemic, it became a thing of like, let me find balance in bringing myself joy too, because I felt like that wasn't shining through all the time. You would devote everything to your people, and then you'd be like left with no energy. Like, oh, the cup was not full, it was not half full, it was empty. So I was like, let's transition into what I came to New York for, fashion, and the relationships with designers and the relationships with the PRs, because I had transversed through that world. It was just a pivot back into it to be able to really understand you can have it all. And it's not about balance. It's about leaning into the chaos. I don't believe in the concept of balance at all for anybody in business. That creative chaos, if you block out that noise for 5 minutes and just lean in, you can see clearly a path through. And the path of life is meant to be wishy-washy and curvy and ups and downs. So for me, MD Effect was born to kind of save myself from going crazy and really lean back into what I love and make firmer decisions in terms of the PR side of things, in terms of who I want to work with, what kind of woman, because funnily enough, most of my clients are women, which there's a whole process behind that thinking too. But it's important to make decisions, especially as we get more life experience, get older, that kind of vibe, that it really is about saying no to things as opposed to yes, 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 yes. Because if you keep saying yes to things, it dilutes the brand. It dilutes yourself and it dilutes your joy.
I love that you talked about diluting the brand because we are both passionate and also we are in the business of creating exceptional personal brands. When we talk, and I believe it's very easy for people when they go to your social media to see the always fun person, always on TV with clients talking about fashion, but there's a depth about you that helps you actually when you work with your clients to bring the best in them as well. This is something we don't see. That's behind the scene. To what extent do you feel that when you work with personal brands and you position them on TV, to what extent your sensibility and ability to tap into the core value of a client helps you to create that fun persona, but still tap into what makes them excellent and create superstars, not just another brand out there?
I think it's important for me that my ethos of my business has always been that you may have a mug, a cutlery set, a this, a this, a that. Your core brand will always be who you are. You are the tree trunk. The rest is just the branches. So when I look at something, and I grew up old school publicity in New York City, the Post, the New York Times, television, Good Day New York, Good Morning America. For me, there's no more powerful mediums than broadcast. And in an age where everybody is infamous, I don't say famous, and I hate the word influencer, sorry, I really do. I don't believe in that. I believe you have to have some chutzpah and some actual backbone in what you want to be and who you are. Otherwise, you are just a follower, and that's not who I am. So that balance, and you're talking about what you may see on my social media specifically, is the truest form of me there. I maybe do overpost, but I think I live quite a interesting life between my work with the wildlife refuge, with the Limbani, the chimpanzee. You've never met anybody that's done that and then sits front row at a fashion show and then works with a client to put them on television. It's like this brewing of different worlds that collide together that make people like want to be a part of that. And I work my damn ass off. So I will find a way. If there's a blockage, we will go around them. You know what I mean? I think in this day and age, I'm very traditional in how I work. I still get the newspapers delivered to my door in Miami. And they're all the New York newspapers. I want to be immersed in the real news and be able to decipher what's real and what's not, as opposed to flicking through what is fed to me by some algorithm, because I'm not about that life.
I love that you share that, because some of the greatest businessmen in the world, they talk about getting their newspapers in the morning and starting the morning these days. This is not to say that we have to put our full trust in what media tells us, even
Absolutely
traditional
not.
media ever, right? So I'm not defending that. I'm just stating that we have to tap into the core values that made the world powerful. And then once we implement that structure with what social media brings us, we are able to collectively also operate as human beings, still anchored in the past, but having a very strong attention span and understanding of what the power of now can bring. And this is what makes us holistically powerful individuals. Now, you are being seen across the country, traveling with Mama, which is actually your pup that has a lifestyle like many would envy, traveling first class everywhere. Share with us, how does it feel to actually consistently readjust your personality as well? Because one day you are in LA, then you have to come back to the Miami Fashion Week, and then you have to be on TV with a client that maybe is a completely different vibe. How do you kind of turn on and off all these elements to still be yourself and show up consistently?
It's an interesting point. I say like undiagnosed bipolar, multiple split personalities. It's just the life that I know, and it's something that I love. And as I have gotten older, I have prioritized time for me. So I'm not going to overextend anymore. There was a time where I overextended, and you hit the wall and you crash and you burn, and then it's hard to pick up pieces. It's better to be like, hey, I need a moment, breathe through it, and then readjust as you go along. So that's by learning to say no to things and picking the best of the best and aiming to want to be beside the best of the best, as opposed to being like, oh, that $5 and that $5 and that $5 and that $5 will cumulatively give me enough to do this. When you start to say no to people, you do attract the top echelon of person, and you continually go up that ladder. And that ladder is forever. Doesn't matter where you think you are in your leverage. The 1%ers have teams underneath them that keep them at that 1%. They're the visionary, but they do have somebody underneath them, and they have people underneath them. So it's about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, but people that don't bullshit you and keep it 100 with you. Because if you're around a yes person, no thanks. Because I've had that, been through that, done that. It always collapses. Because you both can't be in the dark being like, I'm not going to do this. Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. If shit's not great, work out what is the method and how is the putting one foot in front of the other movement going to happen. Because you have to live in reality, because a lot of people just don't live in reality. They live in the cloud of like, I'm just going to emulate that, and not even emulate it. They're just going to copy it. And I'm not the copy kind of guy.
You need a system, a very strong thinking system, ability to execute it, live in the present while still maintaining the core values of what made you.
Correct.
And brought you, until today. But in a world where instant gratification, especially in our line of work, is just being prioritized, you prefer long-term. The way you build your relationships and the way you also dismiss very quickly the people you don't align with.
She knows me well.
Of you that I know. But what my favorite thing about Matt is your loyalty and your humanity. I went through a health scare, and you're literally by my side calling me 24/7 to ensure I'm great. Humanity is a trait that not many display these days because they are too self-centered. How do you balance this? Being busy, building a career that it's very demanding, considering, how social media platforms are just pushing fake experts in the spotlight. How do you balance your humanity, your love of animals, your nurturing side towards your pup who's 15 years old, being there for your friends, and also showing up consistently on the cover of magazines, which we'll be talking about it shortly, and at the events, and still consistently bringing that tremendous good energy that is so inspirational?
Because I genuinely do love life. It's funny that you mention, as I don't think it's even as I've gotten older. I think it's always been in me. I've just been able to harness the way that I deliver my I don't want to be in your presence anymore. And it's sometimes people are like, oof, this guy's like rude or he's like really fast. To why spend time hanging around people that are not bringing something into your life and vice versa? Because it is a 50-50 relationship. Things go through ebbs and flows of life. Our relationship has had big jaunts and then small breaks and big things. And it's when you come back together time and time again because of scheduling, you're traveling overseas, here, there, and everywhere, that it becomes a thing of like you start to see that this is the kind of person that is the very definition of loyal. And to me, as I've gotten older, you don't need more than this many people in your life at all. Because there's plenty of other people that will have an opinion and comments, and that's okay. That's okay. That noise keeps the door open, keeps the business running. You can't live without the noise of what social media is. You just cannot in this day and age. You can break through it in a very non-traditional way, though. A lot of people, I don't believe in the overnight situations. Every overnight success took decades. But when it comes to how I find that joy to keep showing up is because at this stage of my life, I have handpicked and been blessed to cross paths with what destiny was giving me. And that's the truth. You have to believe in the universe doing the right thing for you. You step up, and I always say, oh my God, I'm like in a bad way, I'm in this. But somehow I always pick it up and work it through and land right where I'm supposed to be. And that truly is like by being truly open in your thought processes, the way you look at life, and being like, not what can that person give me or what can that person do? How does that person make you feel? That's the most important thing. Because if there's an undeniable energy and it feels like, kindred, then that's just a person that was meant to come in later in life. And just because certain people in the beginning of your life have fallen to the wayside doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, forget about them. Treasure the moments, whether it's months, years, decades, treasure those moments. Just like in a relationship, physical, friendship, whatever it is. I'm not the kind of person now that cuts the thing and is like, oh, that's the past. No, because it's all this journey leading up. And whoever's here presently is here for a reason, and lean into it and just enjoy life. You don't have to say yes to everything. There's more power in no than yes.
I believe that's a hard decision to make when you are a nurturing, kind human being. It's hard to say no, but in the world we live in, with everything moves so rapidly around us, and we have to start saying no, and confidently so. We earned the right after seeing life to say no without being judged, and if we are, oh well.
Correct.
But now we have something that we want to show people.
She's like, but
I don't know what this is, but it looks fabulous.
that's the cover of my November issue of Miami Vibes. With this is where you lean into the power of saying yes to things and evolving a whole new career path. That's not necessarily new, this being in front of the camera, doing this on television, jumping in, but it's going back to my roots and to what I was actually in New York for. So it's like, it feels like it just came a little bit later in life, and that's good because I probably wasn't prepared when I was living in New York, because that's a whole different beast of a city.
And mindset.
Yeah, and I was like, now I just have such an appreciation for my origin story coming from Sydney, Australia, to what I call my birthing in New York City that kept me grounded and is the core of who I am. I love being involved in the city in Miami. I think the city has goods, pros, and cons, just like anywhere. And I do really feel like when you find your people here, that's what makes this city electric and wonderful. But in any city, there's good, bad, and dark, and light, and what have you. But it's really been an amazing kind of few years to be able to, really forge this fashion and styling arm to my business, being able to do it in a way where I'm not styling people individually, where I'm literally talking to the masses, being like, this is what I'm seeing front row. These are my opinions. And hey, people seem to care. So wonderful for me.
Yes, and this also comes from timing is everything. But I also believe, Matt, people talk about fashion and luxury brands often as being something frivolous or vain. Fashion is our extension of who we are.
Correct.
It's the universal language. It's also when you think about it, if I put the same shirt on 10 women or men who are all the same height and size, it's not going to look the same way.
You nailed it.
Why?
Right there.
Because fashion is an extension of who we are and how we feel. And we can make a wardrobe look fabulous or not as much independently of how much it costs. Right? So we have to just kind of fall in love with fashion again and understand that is actually part of our personal brand. It gives us power if we leverage it the right way. Don't dress for your body type, dress for your personality too. Right? So that's important.
Well said.
Now, we are seeing all these photos here, and the ones who were privileged actually to come to your anniversary event as a CEO of the brand as well, of the magazine, we saw the videos. And you were just living the life. I've never seen you happier than just modeling those pieces. And is this something that makes you the happiest ever? Is the moment when you are in front of the camera that gives you the utmost freedom?
It's where I feel most comfortable these days. And I think that's an interesting dissection of what life is, where it's been, my core has been the publicity, and that has now evolved into a very different topic and a very different way of approaching the way I live my life. So I would say yes, whether it's on photo shoots, whether it's on camera at NBC, Fox, wherever I'm speaking about what I truly love. And I want to rewind back because I really loved what you said about fashion, because if people think that fashion doesn't affect them, if you walk into a store, and this is literally H&M, Zara, any one of those stores, what you buy there was dictated by the runways. It just went through a filtering process. I loved what you said when you said that you put the same shirt on 10 different people, it will be interpreted in a different way. And that's truly what has made me so happy to be back in the fashion world, to be able to look at a person when they're coming in and be like, I know a little bit about you by how you put something together. I know that this, or by how you haven't done something, and maybe it looks like, oh, this person just rolled out of bed, but perhaps their interpretation is that laissez-faire, chill, casual vibe. Life is about enjoying yourself, expressing yourself through fashion, but it doesn't have to be, let me throw 50 trends on my body just to be cool. I got the bag, I got the this, I got the that. I always say pick one trend, because we are influenced by trends. Pick one trend or something that makes you happy. So a trend that might be, there's a certain kind of accessory or a clutch that's coming in. If it makes you happy, then yes, you're not a trend follower. You're only that when you start to stack yourself up to the point of wow, you really are letting the clothes wear you, as opposed to the opposite scenario. So for me, yeah, being in front of the camera and doing who knew? 41 years old, baby, and all of that, life truly opened up when I hit my 40s
because
in a
the
way
world
that I've never
has changed as well. We are seeing models like Maya Musk, Elon Musk's mother, in her late 70s. She looks fabulous.
Always has been.
Right? So the world is changing, which is very rewarding for all of us, because there are people who actually became sensational in their 50s and 60s. Martha Stewart, not many people know, but she started her business when she was 50 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is definitely not young. It's not old. But these are all testimonials that the human being should not be judged and packaged and put in a box and forced to live in a box. It's up to us to break those walls. But now talking about trends, actually there's a funny side of you and spontaneous. We were going to a TV station for the spring trends. Mm-hmm. And you gave me a skirt and I just didn't feel comfortable in it. Mm-hmm. And I say, Matt, I really don't like this skirt. And you say, well, it's a great skirt. It looks great on you. Halfway, we were actually just getting ready to be taped. And I say, Matt, can I please change and put the Norma Kamali suit on? And you say, you know what? Fine, because I know if you're not happy, you're not going to look good. And I went back And with your spontaneous, I don't know, exceptional ability to live in the moment, you just sounded like we, had that outfit in mind for weeks.
And you were right, Charlie. I'll give that to you.
But this is the moment. This is what fashion is all about. If it doesn't make me comfortable, I should not force myself to wear it. And fashion is also about having that spontaneity and also you styling people. You're not styling, but preparing them. You having the open mind to understand it. You know what? I really wanted to showcase that piece. But if the person doesn't feel confident in it, I don't want them to be forced to be someone
And
or
it was one of
embody
my
someone.
favorite segments. It was fabulous. Beautiful, bright, bold. And Norma Kamali is a legend. We were at the opening of that at the Faina Curio the other night.
So I have, Norma Kamali has changed my life. I'm actually wearing Norma Kamali today. And I get emotional when I talk about her because she was the first fashion designer to actually scoop me out of the consulting work and give me a job in fashion. And later on, I got my job at Versace because I was wearing her dress one day and somebody spotted me. But Matt, let's talk about designers. Back in the day, to be a fashion designer, you had to really have the acumen and the credibility. You had to design collections. Now we are seeing influencers, I know you don't like the word, coming up with all kinds of brands and they become successful because of the media and PR. Nothing wrong with that behind them. Do you believe this is sustainable? Do you believe from your perspective, having seen life for 4 decades, that we will continue to see influencers or we will revert back to what makes a designer someone who's able to impact not just trends, but create
I mean, if you look at runways, it's not, the influences that'll never be. I think maybe the media has landscaped it to be that they're everywhere and they're all part of this. But I don't actually believe that to be fact. Because real fashion is curated, it's selected. I do genuinely think there's space for everybody and everything. There really is. But at the end of the day, it's about the passion and love that you have. So for me, the influencers that do fashion, great, good for you. You can make a quick buck, hit it. My bank account, your bank account, no shade, no harm. But real fashion, that is from paper to pencil to sketch to concept to fabrics. You had my girl Taja on here recently. When she's in New York and she's pulling fabrics and smelling and looking at pieces of things, she's not cutting things out of a piece of paper and being like, make that. It's every little detail. So do I believe that they're real fashion designers, these? No, they're fast fashion. They're manufactured. It's great. Wonderful. Do I want to be a part of that? No, I think surrounding yourself with people that actually have a taste level is wonderful. And this is why you look at like New York Fashion Week, Milan, Paris, and then Miami. I'm super excited about Miami Fashion Week, but it is not, and nor will it ever be, Paris, Milan, or New York.
I mean, it could upgrade itself.
It has upgraded itself. They brought the New York designers to Miami. That's how they did it.
Yes,
Smart.
I believe there's always room because even New York Fashion Week did not exist, so it started somewhere.
Yeah.
But you have to bring into the equation true experts who have the expertise and help you remold. I would love for you and I to actually get our hands and contribute to Miami Fashion Week because I truly believe there's a lot of untapped opportunity there. Now, let's just talk about something that is very current. And I know it's going to be a bit of gossip, but Kim Kardashian co-designed with Dolce & Gabbana 2 seasons ago. She was actually in charge of picking some of the pieces from the archives and just bring them back to life. And when we are talking about the luxury sector, there's a 30% revenue loss collectively on a global scale. Some try to conceal it, but it's happening. And that's why we see creative directors being fired and hired with the speed of light.
Yeah.
So Kim Kardashian designed for Dolce & Gabbana. Then we saw suddenly, and this is as a former PR person, I want to hear your feedback. And then on the show, we saw her fighting with her sister, Courtney, over Dolce & Gabbana because she had her wedding, Courtney, sponsored by Dolce & Gabbana. That was very strategically placed, that fight, because what's happening now, just a couple of days ago, Kim's ex, Dolce & Gabbana, launched. And who are the models? Courtney and Kim together.
Yeah, absolutely.
to what extent do you believe that the hype that people really think it's real, but it's being created as a foundation to create a successful launch? How important is it? Is it real? Is it authentic? Should we continue to leverage it?
If you believe it, then it's real, honey. This is where we're at. I want to say when it comes to particularly Kim Kardashian, that say what you want about how she came to be, you like her, you don't like her. You cannot deny that that woman is passionate and breathes and lives for fashion. She really, truly does. I honestly believe that she's a game changer in terms of being able to mold what she has and bring it together and get everything that everybody ever wanted. She's living
And
some
even
people's
what
dreams.
they didn't know they wanted, as Diana
Exactly.
Freeland said.
So, in saying that, of course, the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle are always being built and lined up, and there is a plan to execute. And here we are. What was launched 2 days ago with Skims and Kim was created 2 years ago. Conversations happen. God bless Kris Jenner, honey. She is
I
there.
also believe that she's underestimated.
Oh, 1,000%.
I am always fair because people are very quickly to criticize. And I say, when I see a person, I look at what they do amazing and what they don't do well. And I only emulate or capitalize and focus on what they do great and try to understand why success happened, because there's a reason for it. And when we look at Kim, she's actually humble enough to bring around herself amazing minds and listen to them, which a lot of entrepreneurs cannot, because I coach some of them and I know that they go against me with all my experience. What she did monumentally well, she listened to that genius that Kanye is. I know right now nobody likes him anymore, but he rebranded herself. He's the one who brought her to the Met Gala. She was his plus one, and she listened to him. In an episode, we saw how he threw away all her clothes and he said, I'm going to redesign your closet. You're going to dress differently. She listened. When she created Skims, whom did she hire? The great family with a tremendous acumen. So she's humble enough to really listen to amazing people, to her mother. And this is what truly makes a great story of success as well. And I think she's being underestimated tremendously. And also the discipline to show up 24/7 in front of the camera. You see her putting the phone in her face. And I'm sure there were moments in life when she didn't feel like it, especially what she went through. The consistency and the ability to show up independently of how you feel, that's the quality that makes someone influential and powerful.
I think just in life that there's so much like courage and faux courage in bringing somebody down because you have 150 characters on X or you have Instagram, whatever it is. That bravado behind the apps, but whether it's Kim, whether it's somebody else, whoever it is, go back to the OG days of what reality television was. That was The Hills on MTV. That was the biggest thing to come out. Heidi Montag, Lauren Conrad. Lauren Conrad found her niche. She got a deal with Kohl's, and she still has a deal with Kohl's, and sells pretty little summer dresses, and is a multi-millionaire 20,000 times over. Jessica Simpson used reality television with her husband, Nick Lachey, and then decided that's not for me. Music's not really working anymore. Let me do Heels. $billion business. Agree. Don't judge these people instead of that, because that's why you're in your home doing nothing, because you're literally just like a pain sack. Sorry. I'm like, no, I get out there even when I don't feel like it. And I show up even when I don't feel like it. And I'm like, I don't want to go out. I don't go out. The more I go out, the more that comes my way. So it's like at the same time, you don't have to like any of these people. They are in our sphere, whether you like it or not. They are there because you criticize and you leave negative comments. So you're feeding into
that makes them even bigger.
Correct.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, whether it's a Kim, whether it's a Jessica, good for them. Good for them. Because who can sit there and say, hey, I wouldn't like a quarter of that pie? Nobody can, whether you despise them or not. If she was sitting in front of her biggest hater, he would ask her for a photo. So let's be real in life. Come on. This is what this industry is about. Find your place. Have a really, really strong work ethic. And be kind. And as I've gotten older, don't forget to enjoy the ride for yourself, because, man, sometimes you do and you miss out. You really are going to miss out on being in the moments with people and friendships.
It's very important. And I also believe, I'm a firm believer that in our power circle, we should have the people we trust most, people that we can actually consult on our business ventures.
Cry with, we can
People we
let's
can
be
cry
real with it.
You know, it's very important to have this type of people around you who inspire and lift you up. And also the people who give you constructive criticism, because quite often you went against me and you say, I don't like how you did, and it's great. The only way to become excellent is by surrounding yourself with people who push you to be the best version of themselves. They will not allow, they will never allow to see you lower than what your potential is. And I love that. Anything that you would like to share with us that we haven't discussed? And I was very strategic about not asking you, but if there's anything else you want to share about the things that you love the most?
There's a lot of great things happening in 2025, but I do feel like the social media thing, and it's funny, and I'm grateful that you had me on the show today, because it's like I don't think people ever hear me talk other than quick sound bites. So I'm very appreciative of that. You know, just follow me on social, because you do get a slice of my life. You really do get to see me out and about, real friends, the chimpanzee, which is, you know, such a beautiful part of my life. And I think I live a pretty good one. And I'm very happy with where I am currently. But that doesn't mean you can rest on your laurels and think, oh, this is good. No, I want more. I want more for myself. And that's not fiscally, that's not this. It's a bit of everything. So yes, I want more money. I want more push through in the media, and I want more challenges. And they all go together. And that's really what it's about. When you find your groove and you follow it, truly, that's everything else will fall in its place and come. And don't be afraid to fall flat. Even if you've been at this game for 20 years, you will fall flat on your ass and come the hell back up. And that's okay. That's part of the journey now.
I'm so happy that we unveiled a side of you that only the privileged ones who are close to you have access to. And I want people to understand what makes Matthew amazing, way beyond the work. I truly believe that your humanity, your kindness, your passion for the things that we don't see much, but sometimes we do, like Limbani and Mama.
You can't deny animals actually are the greatest take on who a human really is. And a wild chimpanzee that is like...
That story, I invite people to go to your social media and see this amazing chimp who's 7 years old that is actually more human than most human beings out there, and that you nurtured and you protected and you loved. And just to see you interacting with him, I think the measure of our humanity is how we interact, not with the ones we can take advantage of or use them for whatever.
It's the complete opposite.
It's just the way we treat animals and the people that don't do anything for us except giving us love. So
that's right.
Thank you for sharing your heart with us today, your soul, your knowledge, and also your passion for fashion, because, darling, I mean...
I love you.
This is fabulous.
Thank you, my sweetheart. Too. I'll sign it for you later. It's yours.
But let's just fix our hair.